Welcome to the Helps If I Update the Date, the June 17th Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. As always, please add your name and affiliation so we know who's been joining the calls. And I don't have a lightning talk schedule, or we don't have a lightning talk scheduled for today. But if there are topics people would like to present on, be very interested and welcome to do that. So looking for volunteers for that, or people who have topics they want to present here, please do reach out and we'll get some of these rescheduled as well. So, I guess the first thing we'll do then is take a look at the new user-raised issues. So I've got that open already. And if we look, there's only been a couple, 3 since the last OpenJ9 call. The first one is an issue with deserialization. And this seems to be showing up when the class cache that we've added is shows up unless they disable the class cache that we have. So I had pinged Teresa to take a look at this. He was able to fix the last couple of issues in this area of code. So right now this is targeted to the 0.22 release, given where we are in our release timeline. The next request is around overriding the VM allocator. So this is coming from somebody who's embedding OpenJ9 inside another application and wants to override our malloc and free implementation. So something we'll need to look at there and see what we can do. And then this third one is a issue when building an Android project, which has also been targeted to 0.22. So the September release, I believe, to an existing issue with another issue we have been looking at around building Android-related projects. So work's still in progress on that, and hopefully fixing one fixes both. Are there any other issues here in this user-raised issues list that we should call out and have a discussion on? All right. Then we will move down, and I will again call out the fact that we do want to add help wanted and beginner issues. So if you do run across a small fix-up that isn't on the critical path of whatever you're doing, it's probably worth creating a help wanted or beginner issue, and then leave it there for somebody new to come along and easily get started on building an OpenJ9. So just something to be aware of and thinking of as we are working through issues and working through different things. All right, so Andrew, have you had a chance to update the download stats?
Yes, they're all been updated. And we're also very close to getting the dashboard displaying the data as well. We're just waiting for the Microsoft team that can merge the version 3 API changes to master to press the button, really.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah.
It looks like our numbers of downloads continue to increase, which is good. Our percentage of the download share seems to be holding pretty steady. Is that an accurate description? The graphs are a little small, so.
Yes, I would say that. Yeah. Okay. The trends have continued in roughly the same direction.
It's good to see that we're continuing to get downloads.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, when we get the new dashboard, you'll be able to play and filter stuff a lot more easily. So it'll be a lot clearer and more useful.
Okay. That's great. And you said that should be coming online as soon as the PRs are merged by the Microsoft team?
Yeah, it's actually the API server has a sort of staging area, and then it gets pushed to master. It's on staging already. It just needs pushing to master.
Okay. Great. Any other questions or comments on the download stats? All right. Take a look at our 0.21 release. The milestone builds, I believe, are complete. I should dig out the links for that. Please correct me, if I'm stating something incorrect here. But I believe the links were posted into the extensions repo Slack channel, so we should be able to.
I also put them in general.
All right, thanks, Pete. If we can get them pasted in here as well, that would be good. So that gives us our first set of milestone builds, but it tells us that we're very rapidly coming up on our next milestone, which is June 29th. So we've got about 12 days, so not quite 2 weeks before the next milestone. So let's take a look at that milestone plan now and see what we still have open, which looks like there's about 30 issues still here. So I'd like to take a quick look at these issues and see what still needs to be merged, or what needs attention, or if there are things in here that can be shifted out. So the design and implementation notes for the JEP 3. I'm getting some echo back from somebody. So there's a number of pull requests related to this that are pending still. I believe they're mostly sort of off to the side, so this should be something that we can still look at and determine the risk of it on how much of this we want to merge into 0.21. For this issue, I'm not sure what the state is, so I will open that up. All right, so this has not gotten much in the way of attention. But we have already moved it forward from 0.20, so. I'm going to tentatively move this forward to the next release, given that there's been no investigation on it. But it's one that we will need to jump on and get resolved.
Does it still occur, or is it something that occurred once?
It occurred more than once because we were able to get a core file.
I'm wondering if it still occurs. I know Jason's on the call. Jason, do you know if this still occurs?
I probably need to look up. Usually, if it happens more often, I probably will put some up in the notes panel. Not this one. So, but I need to have another look.
Thanks.
So this I will move out as well. It needs to be resolved and will probably be handled by the time we finish the hidden classes work, because the answer will probably be very similar across the various releases. So I will move that out to the next release and commit to having that cleaned up and resolved there. This one, there is a pull request pending. I need to review that. Not sure what this one is. All right, so it sounds like we found the root cause here. So this looks to be like we're moving towards a solution, which is good. Incorrect runtime behavior.
Yeah, the fix is being developed for that one.
Do you think it's going to make the release, or how risky the fix will be?
I think we have a reasonable chance of getting it in. So leave it here for another couple of days. I'll check with Leo again.
Thanks, Andrew. The SSL routine errors.
I don't know if we have enough information.
Yeah, I'm going to move this forward, but I think we should make a decision on it in the next release.
There's no indication that anybody's tried to look at it. I could poke along again.
Yeah, if you can poke him in the issue, that would be good, just to get some movement there. There's a number of Arch64 issues here.
Now, the first one should be fixed. We may not have committed the fix to 021 yet. We're just waiting for that to get through the builds on the master side, but that one should be resolved. The next four, I'm actually going to have a call with Kono-san tonight to talk through those and whether or not we can make some progress on them. Some of them are harder to reproduce. But yeah, we need to decide what we're going to do. So if you can wait a day on that, I'll decide whether or not they should go forward or fix them in 21.
All right, that sounds good. Thanks, Daryl. The next one is the reminder to check the OpenSSL version, which we will do closer to the release to make sure that we have the most up-to-date version of that. This is a verify error that's being thrown, and I believe we have a PR for that. I've started reviewing it, and so this should make the release. This one I'm not as familiar with.
That's just something to remind us to fix the extension repos once we get the OpenJDK changes for notarization. They've changed the name of a file, so we've changed the ones we can, and the 14 we won't be able to do until July 14th. And I don't know if Keith has got 15 and next on the list, but it's just a reminder of something we need to do.
Crash running Lucene Solar. So it looks like we have a test being written. Does anyone more familiar with this issue have an update, rather than me reading through this as we? Mark, Gita, Philip, I see your names. All right, I think we'll have to follow up on this one offline. All right, we have excluded this one.
Yeah, it's a reminder to see if we can unexclude it. It was failing on OpenJDK as well. I don't think it's an OpenJDK problem, but we'd like to exclude the test if it starts passing on a later build.
Okay. This is the null being returned by the get stack trace is still being investigated. We're seeing some odd behavior there and trying to track down how we're getting that null. So there's been investigation and discussion. I think the latest response was that it was reproduced xint, and so we'll need to dig further into that. Segfault when conflicting class versions. So yeah, we got some diagnostic data, but it looks like not enough. So this, until we get diagnostic data, I don't think we can close this out. So we'll keep it in the release for now, as we're actively working with the user to get the data. A crash in FastJIT new object.
Yeah, so that was a report from Konosan and out of TRL, and they've had one. If they've seen it once, it's not reproduced. I now have the core file. I'm going to have a look at it, but the lack of reproduction and that kind of thing, I'm not super worried about it, but I just want to have one look at the core file before I push it out.
Okay. Thanks, Andrew. Test array copy 3 crash. Okay, so the theory here is that there's an array copy that's going backwards instead of forwards due to the direction flag having not been cleared.
Yeah, so this is kind of funky because the rep store sequence is used throughout the JIT and throughout the C code, and there is a convention that in the C code about, or in the C ABIs about how it should be set at the end of an operation. We haven't been able to find how it could possibly have ended up being the wrong way around. Because we've checked everything in the JIT that we think, and anything else reasonable that looks like it should be modifying it, and it looks like the right convention is being adhered to. It's not clear then how it got flipped. The one thing that that's kind of been identified is that the external native code is currently being trusted to not screw it up. So there is a there's a question as to whether we should be adding a defense to make sure that that doesn't get screwed up. If somebody is running native code that's not compiled with C and adhering to the same direction flag convention. But we've not been able to get it to reproduce. Now, James, who does service for the IBM JDK and also for OpenJ9, says he's seen a couple of cases where he thinks it might have happened, but we don't have any proof of it. We haven't found the source. So thoughts were around putting some initial protections around form function interfaces and just trying to sort of ring fence at least the VM implementation. But we're not going, there isn't enough in the core file or enough from what we have to know exactly how the flag got flipped. Or even if it was just a random flag flip, we're not even sure, right? Because it's a single bit. So it's a bit strange. I don't know what we can do about it. I mean, perhaps the defensive thing is the right thing to put in for 21 and kind of call it done at that. I don't think we can jettison the sequence. I don't think we can stop using the flag, at least in the short term. So I don't know what else we can really do.
Yeah, is it reproducible?
No. Essentially, no. It happens like we've seen other things that we think may have been it, but like you run a grinder and you can't get it to do the same thing again.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think more discussion here on whether we want to proceed with the defense in depth against this. not a satisfying answer, but
Well, and the thing is, there's no sign in that test that it is actually a foreign function interface that caused the problem, but it's the only thing that we can think of, unless there's a bug somewhere in like the C compiler or something where the flag isn't getting reset, because we've kind of audited the places where we manually set it and we do reset it, right? So there's no particularly satisfying answers on this one.
okay. I think we probably need to continue the conversation on this one to see whether we want to address anything with this for 021 or move it out.
Yeah. It's a tough one. I'm not sure what the right call is. So yes, feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. The sampling object allocation expected +1 but got 0 or 1+.
Yeah, we are looking on this. It's quite intermittent, and Lean cannot reproduce with instrumented VM currently. So in theory, we did not change anything that might cause this failure. Even it's close with that piece we did change. So we are still investigating this.
So I guess we'll keep this one in the milestone for the time being, and we'll.
Yeah, it's correct. I believe we should figure out until I postpone this decision until it would be too late to put fix or something.
Yeah, and that'll depend somewhat on how risky the fix is when we figure out what the issue is.
Yeah, failure is very intermittent, so like a general feature works. Question why that thing stop working periodically? Is it related with our fix?
Okay. Thanks, Dimitri. We'll keep an eye on that one and keep it in for now. So we have a performance problem with modified Minecraft. So Alex had responded to this. So I think this needs some more discussion and to figure out or to clarify what the next step is on this.
Yeah, I don't think that there's I don't think that we can safely do a performance fix for .21. I mean, we aren't even sure what the root cause is or even what the what component is responsible, right? Alex has been doing some good stuff on the GC side. There are some worst case differences, average case differences look pretty good. But until we're more sure about that, then it's hard to tell if the JIT code is involved. It's just one of these. It's going to take a while to dig through it with the user. So,
all right, I'm going to roll this forward then at this point.
Yeah, I don't think we can safely contain a fix for this. And the performance isn't so terrible that it isn't usable. It's just not quite as good. So, I mean, we need to address it, but it's also not to the point where it's not functional or usable for the user, right? So.
Yep. All right. DateFormat.equals issue.
It wasn't failing.
That you've been highlighting this, I don't think there's been any investigation here.
No investigation. It was something that wasn't failing up until fairly recently, and now it fails quite often. Although there is a possibility that the test is bogus.
Okay.
Is it failing in any non-stress modes? Like the OSRG and stuff are all stress modes, so.
Yeah, it fails. I think if you look through the list of failures, some of them are no options, like the one 8 days ago.
Okay. Because like the count 0 or the OSRG, I agree we should look at, but those are unlikely to be hit in normal operation.
I don't know if Jason has any cycles. I know we've had a few other Move tests that were kind of bogus and didn't really work in the multi-threaded way we're trying to run them. We ended up excluding them. This one was passing for a long time, but started failing. What was it, back in April?
Jason, I pinged you in this issue, and hopefully you can take a look at the test for us.
Sure.
All right. Down to the last couple of these, we have an assert failure that the old and new API did not match. Should have been fixed. Okay. Good.
Yes, it should be fixed. I have to verify.
All right.
I'll
Thanks,
verify
Marius.
today.
JIT crash running the heap hog load test. All right.
I just don't think we've had anybody to look at it yet. I'll try and get somebody to have a look at it. We've just been a bit under the pump.
Okay. All right. The finalize override timeout.
So I'm hoping Shelley will have a chance to look at my change today to add in the timeout handler.
Yeah, I've
Then-
merged the OpenJDK tests portion, but I'll
Excellent.
look at if there's anything left now. There were 2 other changes, right?
It's one that's OpenJDK tests 1834, 2 comments back.
Yeah,
If
that's
Lan looked at it.
merged. Yeah,
Great. So that's all that should be needed. Next time it occurs, we should get a core file, and then hopefully we can progress it.
cool. And thanks for creating that. I think that will be very helpful.
Hopefully, see if it works.
Ultimately, Lan and I were talking about this. One of the things, obviously, is it would be great if we could just pick this handler up for the OpenJDK of tests instead of for all tests, because that's how we work things. But for now, in adding to get dependencies is fine.
So I could easily change the code to test which VM. I think
for now, just let's let it run and see what happens. What I'm saying is we could avoid downloading it in certain cases, but it's not costing a lot here to do it as we have. So
Okay, but there's room for improvements.
it's just not high priority over other things.
Yeah.
And for people who are going to be on the RISC-V testing discussion call directly after this, I guess we wait until we're done this call. This is in the adopt update coming up.
Misuses of add constant to integer. Does this need to be addressed in 021? Okay, Pete, you beat me to it. You've asked the same question, so I guess we'll wait for Gita's response.
Yeah, it sounds like it doesn't, but Gita needs to confirm that.
And Daryl, this last Arch issue, is this on your list to talk to Kono-san about?
Yeah, he just opened that last night. I'm not even sure if it's a 021 issue. You might actually, that was something found in Headstream.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right. So we've moved a couple of things out of this list, and hopefully let's continue to push this forward and progress this so we can get the milestone closed out and as many of these resolved as possible for the next milestone build. In terms of regular updates. Shelley, do you want to give us the adopt update?
I'll volunteer to give you part of it. We're almost ready to land the external parallelization stuff. This actually also includes triggering tests correctly off of some Docker builds. So we were not doing that before, so we were blindly launching tests just nightly, so over testing against things that hadn't changed. So this has been more involved than I thought it would be, but we should be landing it this week. We're also adding additional tests for the installers build jobs, which is great because we've seen a lot of different problems come in through the support channel relating to issues with the installers. So we'll focus on running tests that target those problem areas first rather than running the entire suite of tests again. I guess if Stuart's on the call, he could probably update for the build stuff, but I will say directly after this call, people working on the RISC-V testing will have a quick discussion because there's a lot of open PRs at the moment that I think we need to coordinate. And I also want to make sure we're not doing work that we don't need to be doing, because I see that there's some changes that are happening that are different than when we had the Arch64 with no JIT changes and how we did testing for that. So I'm hoping we can avoid some of these PRs by looking at the lessons from the Arch64 stuff. So if people are interested, there's a link to that discussion that will start up directly after this call. Stuart, did you have other stuff?
No, nothing particularly exciting this week, so nothing for me.
Yeah. And I will say the reason we're adding the testing to the installers and the Docker piece is to help harden up our release process. There is a TSE issue that I created around that, and that's triggered by the request or by our seeing the need for attempting to do interim builds, which means we better do a better job of our release story. So all of those items are related to the TSE issue, which if it's not in the notes here, I'll add to the notes. That's all I had.
All right, thanks, Shelley. Adam or Joe, is there an update on builds?
So the next two items on the list are moving the OSX OS levels up to 10.14 and also the Xcode version, and then also moving up to Visual Studio 2019 for Windows builds for Java 15. So I believe testing is underway for both of those tasks.
Does the Xcode version match what we're using at Adopt?
I believe Stuart is on the issue, so...
No. So apparently Adopt is using an older Xcode that doesn't seem to match the OS. I talked with Joe about using Xcode 11.4, which is newer than what Adopt is using, but is the one that matches the OS. And it's the one that we have in our build instructions. So we're going to set up one machine with that and try it and make sure it works, but I believe Keith's already tested it.
Okay, it would be good to be using the same environment across what we're building and what Adopt is building.
It would. The right answer might be to get Adopt to update. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion about which Xcode version we should be using. I think so. Adopt might be using an Xcode version that our build instructions say don't use.
Well, if they're using that though, and we've been building and shipping on that, then we need to look at why our build instructions say don't use it.
Yep.
So I think it's worth validating which version of Xcode is correct before we change the machines. or which version we want to be using across the two projects. All right, Adam, was there other things that you wanted to call out here?
So that the AX machines were down a couple weeks ago, and when they came back, we realized the network was kind of crap between the AX site, which is in Raleigh, and the OSU site where our Artifactory server is. So they ended up giving us another machine so we can have another Artifactory instance there, local, sort of like what we did for UNB. They were aware of that network length being less than stellar, so they're going to follow up with their network team to see if there's anything they can do about it.
Okay.
There's something else I discussed with Joe. The network was poor before we lost the AX machines, so it's not a new problem. And it doesn't seem to be causing any problems. We're still able to get through our nightly testing, although you do have to wait longer to download JVMs. So yes, it would be nice to get another Artifactory and speed things up, but it's not, nobody was complaining. It's not blocking anything.
It's like over an hour to download SDK.
Yes, I understand it's slow. I'm just saying nobody complained and it's not blocking anything. But if we have bandwidth to set up another Artifactory to make it faster, that's great.
I might have complained.
Well, you didn't notice.
But I agree, it's not blocking it.
In terms of the website update, Peter?
Hi, this is, the new site's all ready to go. It's actually just waiting on Adam to do his magic to get it published to the Eclipse repo. So hopefully you can do that fairly soon, and then it'll be there.
Okay. All right, in terms of the any other business, Devin, how's the CMake migration going?
I believe Xlinks is good to go. I have the PR open to flip a switch. I don't think there's anything else blocking it. Still working through on the P-Linux side. Going to run some tests now to make sure that there's nothing broken in any of the extended tests that we don't normally do there. Get nightly tests going, and then get the PR open to switch that on by default.
Did I hear that Xlinux is ready to go this week?
Yeah, like it should be good to merge today, I think.
Yeah, so I just approved it. The testing seems to be fine. I was concerned about that intermittent build issue we used to have, but I haven't seen it for some time, and Devin thinks it was fixed by a change. I just asked Keith to review, so I think we can merge that today. One thing I would like is, can we add the UMA? The same thing we did for OSX, can we add the default YML instructions so we can build UMA?
Right. Okay, I can make up that PR.
Thanks. You might as well add it for P-Linux, Z-Linux. Let's just do the same things for all the platforms.
Yeah.
I don't see Mark, so I suspect there's no update on the interim release proposal. We're still hoping to get that ready to go for August. And just looking, I don't see Raghu either, so I think we'll skip over the Helm discussion. I was able to stick some notes and comments in there early this morning, so that discussion does continue to move slowly forward. In terms of the Microjet update,
Yeah, so these meetings are a great catalyst for getting me to do stuff. So I've got the meeting scheduled for Friday afternoon now. So I posted that on the general channel and the planning channel. All are welcome for the discussion around the, for getting more of an overview of the Microjet and starting to structure the discussion around the integration of that, and also which parts of the code we're going to reuse with the Microjet and which parts are going to be duplicated or different.
okay. And if anybody else wants to get added to that, Andrew, just ping you on Slack, or is there a thread?
So I've posted the, so it's going to be hosted on my WebEx. I've posted that on the general channel and the planning channel. The agenda is being managed in a box note that is publicly accessible through the link that's posted there. So you're free to look at that. Comments are welcome on the PR. I will endeavor to make a recording and then figure out somewhere I can post it, but I will be making a recording of the call. So if I am not able to find somewhere to post it, I will certainly be more than willing to share it with people while I find somewhere to host it.
If you send me the recording, we can put it on the OpenJ9 YouTube channel.
Okay, great. Yeah, then I'll do that. I'll send that to you once the recording is ready. But yeah, all welcome, and yeah.
Okay. And as Shelley mentioned earlier, there's a Risk 5 meeting proceeding directly after this one. Is there anything else you wanted to say on that, Shelley?
Oh, details are in the OpenJ9 Risk 5 Slack channel. So. This is I've named people who are already have open PRs. I think we just need to coordinate stuff, but anyone else is welcome.
Okay. Is there any other business that people want to raise at this point? All right. Thank you, everyone, and we'll meet again next Wednesday.
Thanks all. Have a good week.
Thanks, everybody.